Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. I heard a song, Air Supply song, and it started, All Out of Love. I'm so lost without you. I was hearing that song and started feeling sad every time I hear that song. It makes me feel sad, and I started getting angry. I got angry at Air Supply, and I said, this is where my brain ended up. I said, if I had an opportunity to be in a rock duo or ballad duo called Air Supply, I think you missed an opportunity here, Air Supply. I think maybe you should. If I was in the band Air Supply, my songs would all have a theme to the lyrics, it'd be like, I'm all out of air, deep underwater, exploring a cave. My flashlight just went out. You know what I mean? You missed an opportunity here, Air Supply. Or maybe even like, here on the moon, O2 is dwindling, 16 more hours till help arrives. It could also be like, alone on Mount Everest. And you missed an opportunity here, Air Supply. Instead, you made songs that make me feel sad. And I think you could have had way more fun with it, especially when you name your group Air Supply. Now, don't think I'm angry at Air. I love Air. I think it's the greatest thing. I mean, in the known universe, air, that's a pretty awesome thing. Just enough oxygen so the fires don't get out of control, enough oxygen for the mammals to breathe, enough carbon dioxide for the plants to exchange. Air's crazy cool, but Air Supply, not cool at all. Not cool at all. And then the elevator doors opened and I walked out and I said, frickin' Air Supply. Some guy behind me is like, welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. If you have to listen to Air Supply, if you know Air Supply, you understand what I'm saying. I want to remind you that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media over here. I know the Twitter one's hard to tell. It's Denali Saw. It's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagrams. Excuse me. So a guy sent me a picture of Night-Mare Fuel. It's Night-Mare Fuel. And so he was like, just imagine this with AI controlling it. And you got that picture of the robotic Night-Mare Fuel. And the guy sent me that picture and he said, now just imagine that being controlled by AI. Now, I'm already having a hard time sleeping. All right. I have a family staying with me this month, and I've been quite busy, and so that's why the show's not going to be too crazy. It's mainly just right-wing gossip, but now I'm going to have trouble sleeping. So this friend of mine who sent me this picture, I don't know. I think I'm thinking about revoking your friend status briefly for a probationary period. All right, moving right along. Maybe a short show today. So I was thinking about a Halloween costume this year, and I think I got a good one. I think I'm gonna splurge and pay a couple $100 for a Santa costume, and I'm gonna dress up as Santa Claus on Halloween, and I could dress up for it on Christmas too. Hopefully I don't get it too dirty, but because I'm gonna be drinking on Halloween. But I was thinking, I could first of all, I could start like growing out the beard, so I wouldn't necessarily need a fake beard, and I could start growing out the beard because right now my all that hair on this side is real white, so I could say like Santa's working on the beard to be ready for Christmas, and that way I can get away with just drinking alcohol. Fatten myself up with beer, got to put on some pounds before December, And kids will come up and tell you what they want for Christmas, and you're like, oh, absolutely, I already knew that. We check it twice every year. Second checking is after Thanksgiving, though. December 3rd. And I can make tons of jokes like that. and I'm going to get so laid in this costume. I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about like single moms, you know. And so got to practice go ho 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 when I laugh, you know, because people, you know, the kids will come up and they'll say, "Oh, I want this for Christmas, Santa," and it's like, and they'll be like, "Yeah, so they want some toy or thing like I want Roblox credits or something like that." And so Santa knows exactly what that is. And the kid is, "Oh, thank you, Santa Claus," and walk away. And the single mom's like, "Maybe Santa gets something good this Christmas." "Oh, Santa's been a good boy. Ho 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 ho." I'm telling you, I'd get so laid on that, don't you think? I'm thinking very seriously about dropping a couple $100 on a good Santa Claus costume. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Is it out of place to dress as Santa on Halloween, Thanksgiving? Yeah, I don't think so. You can dress up as the Easter Bunny if you want, right? The Tooth Fairy. As you could dress up as The Rock as Tooth Fairy, as the Tooth Fairy. All right, we got no image for this next topic, but it's one of these right-wing gossip things. Now, you understand that there's a professional sport organization called the WNBA. That's the Women's National Basketball Association. And, you know, it's not very popular. People don't really watch it and so forth. But what you may have heard is that some people are coming to WNBA games and throwing sex toys onto the court. You can imagine which sex toys that they're throwing on the court. You know. That's not cool. You shouldn't do that. And I'm being very serious. You really shouldn't do that. You know, kids might, five or six kids might be watching the WNBA game, so that's why you don't want to do that. And after all, cameramen are they're real quick to, "Oh, something's happening over here." So cameraman could pick it up and a kid could see it. It's inappropriate. It's hilarious, but it's inappropriate. All right. And I don't know if you remember the time the wig fell off the WNBA player. It's like, what are you doing playing basketball in a wig? What are you doing? And and on top of that, why did you buy hair that wears a hat? But now, because there's this phenomenon of some jerk coming to a WNBA game and throwing a schlong-shaped sex toy onto the court as a way to mock the WNBA, I suppose. Now, sports betting sites are fielding bets on the color of the next sex toy in the event of a sex toy. We have to use the indefinite article, a sex toy, never your sex toy. Am I making my point? So people are placing bets on what color the next sex toy. I'm tired of saying that because I want to say the other one is a funnier word. But people are betting on that, you know, and they're taking more bets on that than they are people betting on the WNBA games. That's how little anyone cares about it. Now, I think there should be a women's professional basketball association. I think there are women athletes, and they should have a higher tier. You know, I'm kind of surprised that there's not a major league softball league, because I want to see hot chicks in pants throwing underhand pitches at each other and running around, giving each other high fives, bumping forearms. I like watching girls play beach volleyball. You know, and don't lie to me that there's like women out there who only go to baseball games because of the baseball players' butts. Let's be honest, the baseball pants and people who are in shape and run a lot, their butts look great in baseball pants and softball pants. Why isn't there a major league softball league? That's my point. Probably because people would throw sex toys onto the field. And it's a shame. I think that there should be a professional level sports for women. But you got to be honest, very, very few people care about it. And the only way that a bunch of asshole men can have fun with it is by throwing sex toys onto the court. It's wrong. It's hilarious. And I really don't know what to make of our society these days between stuff like that, OnlyFans, and the ridiculous nonsense people talk about when it comes to politics, how little they actually know. How can you be so angry at like political things and know really absolutely nothing about it? It's like, I read like all day, every day. I'm taking in information all day, every day, and it's frequently news anyway. I feel tired of trying to tell people. It's like, because you can't really say to people, maybe you should not talk about this subject because you're a moron on the topic. You're good at plenty of other things, but on this topic, you're a moron. Anyway, let's talk about more right-wing drama, I guess. You have that picture of the engagement photo? I know it's a Matt Walsh tweet, but so there's this influencer, I guess. I never really heard of her until all this drama went down. I saw a picture of her. She's a smoke show. Congratulations on getting engaged. So her name's Sarah Stock. And she posted this picture of her engagement ring. And it said, I think the post, she said, I won. Absolutely, you did. If you found a man you want to marry, excellent. But if you see that little comment by Isabella Maria Del Luca, why is it so small, LOL? That's what Sarah Stock said. But the comment below says, why is it so small, LOL? And this comment is the tamest comment along the lines of this thread. She posted this picture of her engagement ring, and the women on there just went vicious, like knives out, claws and fur, just. Why is it so small? Why do you care, you gold digging whore? See, this is what bothers me about this. It's like, I just said that, and you'd be like, oh, so offended. But it is nothing. It is nothing in comparison to the things that women say to each other, especially when they're single and don't know why, why is someone else getting married and I'm not, So they have to try to belittle somebody who is successful in life. And so, why is the ring so small? LOL. And a lot of these people who are commenting like this in this manner are what some people would say are considered conservatives, conservative women. And I'm sorry, ladies, if you're a quote unquote conservative woman and you think you deserve a great big giant ring for your engagement, you're just a gold digging whore. You know what I mean? You could say all day long that you have conservative values, and you may do. You may have conservative values, but you still have this fantasy that you're a girl boss and that you deserve a guy that looks like Channing Tatum and makes $300,000 a year and puts a big fat rock on your finger. And that's immature. It's shallow, childish. It's a giant red flag. You can't be happy. I would be happy with a string. Didn't they do that in the Count of Monte Cristo? She tied a string around her finger and never took it off. That's enough for me. I wouldn't get a tattoo because I hate tattoos, and that seems like a very sensitive place to get a tattoo. I don't necessarily like that. So, but a ring, a simple ring. First of all, considering the way crime is these days, I don't want to put a giant, rob me sign on my wife's hand. You know what I mean? Because I can't be with you 24/7. We're two independent persons, believe it or not, even though we're one flesh and spirit. Because that's the point of marriage. And if you're one of these catty bitches who are just so mad that you can't figure out why you're not getting married and why this chick is, maybe you can't really look at yourself because you see how you behave. You expect that kind of thing. You expect a monetary value. It's almost like if you expect a big ring for an engagement, I feel like you have one foot out of the relationship already. You think it's like, okay, he bought me a $150,000 ring. I don't know how much rings cost. Now I got this ring on my finger, and if he pisses me off, I could walk out the door with 150 grand. You see what I mean? It's a representation of love. The dollar value does not mean more or less love. And no matter what your fiance, Always confuse it. French words. And if he gives you, just a string to wrap around your finger, knowing what it means spiritually, legally, and for your life, how it would change your life, that should be the reward enough. Otherwise, you're just a gold digging whore. All right. Sorry if you feel I'm being mean, but you should go look at those comments. It is astonishing what I've heard women say to other women. Men will break each other's balls, but some of the cruel things women say is, they say women are more verbal than men are, and it shows when the knives come out. Whew. They could dig deep and cut deep. You know what I'm saying? I was having this conversation with this guy who's talking about like MMA. Like I don't follow that shit, man. You don't know who this fighter is? And I don't know. Superfly Snuka. It's like he's like, I don't know who Superfly Snuka is. I was like, yeah. The last time I paid attention to anything like that, it was like Superfly Snuka and the Iron Sheik and Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, rest his soul. So I mean, I don't really follow that stuff, and so I was talking to this guy, and he's like, well, just kept talking about MMA, and I was like, I don't know. And so I was thinking maybe if I ever talked to Joe Rogan, like if I would be bored shitless talking to Joe Rogan. It's like, yeah, tell me more about this fighting thing where they just push people on the ground and beat them in the head. Yeah, it's not really fighting though, Joe. I just want to put that out there. It's not really fighting. In boxing, when you knock someone down, you have to stop fighting. But in MMA, you knock someone down and then you just lay on top of them and punch them in the head. That's a beating. That's not a fight. Anyway, please don't kick me, Joe Rogan. You're scary when you kick. So I don't follow like MMA. I certainly don't follow Joe Rogan anymore. And then so he said he realized he couldn't talk to me about MMA, so he started talking about TV shows. And he's like, started talking, "Do you seen this TV show?" I was like, "No." "How about this one?" "No." I was like, I think the last TV show I watched was Game of Thrones. Maybe Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'd probably watch that again. And he's like, "You don't watch TV shows?" I was like, "Yeah, mostly when I get like an hour or two to myself where I can watch some entertainment. I figure I should probably watch a movie because what I do on my show is movie reviews. So you may say, it's like, boy, this guy watches a lot of movies. But in truth, even though I do watch a lot of movies, that's pretty much all the entertainment that I'm absorbing in that regard, in terms of fiction and so forth. Most everything else I absorb is nonfiction. So mostly I do movie reviews, but not today. All right, I'll talk about one more thing briefly about before we get out of here. Did you have fun at playing the game this week, EK? You had fun. I think, yeah, we talked about this after the game. You were like, I was like, why? I wish we had recorded all these game sessions from the beginning so we could like share it and stuff like that. And you were like, I don't know. He was like, I kind of like that it's just for us. And, just this limited group of friends, and it's a story you're telling just for us. But I mean, and it's fun stuff. It's fun stuff. I said, I wanted, like, we need an editor. Okay. You're having a different conversation over there or what? Oh, okay. But, where was I? Yeah, we were playing this game, and I said, let's play a G.I. Joe-like campaign. And so, of course, there's a bunch of the players who are like, I want my player to come with a vehicle. And so I'm like, sure. And so we got one player, heavy metal, good guy. But he wanted to specialize like tanks and so forth. I was like, okay, you're the tank guy. And so I had to come up with a mission where they had to there was a stolen Sherman tank in the Philippines, and they had to go get it. And every single time after that mission, there's a lot of people who are confused. I was like, where were we last time? It's like, didn't we just steal that tank? And like, no, we already resolved that one. It was like, oh, I was hoping to be in a tank again. You know, and I got another one. It's codenamed Teacup. He picked it, not me. And he's like the helicopter expert. And so I had to have a mission where there's a medevac, you know, so he could fly a helicopter. Granted, it's the only thing he was able to really do on that mission. But there's also a lot of like running through jungles. He almost got bit by a Siamese spitting cobra. And so because it's like a G.I. Joe-like campaign, they're always very suspicious of any kind of snake. It's like they grab the snake. Is there a microphone on this thing? Is there GPS tracking on it? So I think it's fun being the master of games. And I'm not trying to brag, but I'm a pretty damn good game master. And the problem is that, you know, you have to, when you're playing a role play game, you got to kind of keep everyone together. But if everyone wants to be in their vehicles, like I'm in the tank, I'm in the helicopter, and my character Coxswain's I'm on the boat. And I'm like, oh boy, I got to keep these guys together somehow. So eventually, you put them all in the tank, or you put them all on the boat, or you put them all in the helicopter. So everybody gets a turn driving. Plus, I remember there's an NPC called Boxcars. He's supposed to be like the Snake Eyes character of the group, and he's an NPC, so I play him, and so he's kind of iconic in the way that Snake Eyes is like iconic for G.I. Joe, and he got wounded in the last mission, and he wasn't doing too good, and that's what the medevac was for. And EK called me, and he's like, he's not gonna die, is he? And I'm starting to think about it. I'm starting to let him die. You know, I'm starting to think about letting him die. You know, because they're all fictional characters. They're all under my control. And if you have like an emotional attachment to a character, that's like, it's something a game master can mine. Like it can hit your feelings with it. You know, and even like Avery, like he butt dialed us yesterday in the group chat, right? And like 75% of us hopped on there. We were ready to go. All but two hopped on there, ready to go. And I'm like, when I got on there, I was like, roll initiative.
One of the two responded saying, I'm busy.
Yeah, and one of those two who didn't come, they said, I'm too busy right now. So they wanted to be there. It's like, what? It's an emergency gaming session? What's happening? Did they break through the lines? Is it the Tet offensive? But Avery's just like, oh, I butt dialed you. But we were all responded, ready to go. I wonder if I should try to do that, like ambush you with a gaming session. Like the 3 a.m. on a Saturday, I'm hammered. I've been rolling initiative. You're gonna get killed. And you know what? Boxcars are gonna die too. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. It's the news worth knowing. If Air Supply's still around, we should get them to do a little jingle for the news worth knowing. It's the news worth knowing. Ugh. Stick to what I'm good at. All right, homeless people in D.C. have two choices as Trump administration cracks down. I'm all out of news. You see, I told you need a mic in there if you're going to be doing that, man. You always like to shout stuff. So obviously, what's going on in D.C. is like the biggest story of the week, I suppose. Probably the year, if you have. I don't know. It's a pretty big one. Are you making a burrito or something? Yeah. Okay. I can smell it. We have a little kitchenette now. All right, so homeless people given two choices as the Trump administration cracks down. The White House says those living in homeless encampments in the nation's capital will have two choices in the coming days: accept treatment at a homeless shelter or go to jail. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced the ultimatum during a Tuesday press conference as reporters prodded about President Trump's federal takeover of Washington, D.C.'s law enforcement. She said many of the homeless encampments across the city have already been dismantled and that those that remain she expects to be dealt with this week. Quote, 70 70 homeless encampments have been removed by U.S. Park Police, Levitt said, according to the Metropolitan Police Department, will be joining the Park Police in this effort. There are only 2 homeless encampments remaining in D.C. federal parks under the National Park Service's jurisdiction. The removal of those 2 remaining camps is scheduled for this week. Asked about the options available in those homeless encampments, Levitt Swiss Blunt said homeless shelters for addiction and mental health services or jail if they refuse, but those are the options on the table right now. Trump himself had floated the idea of relocating homeless encampments to locations well outside the city. Levitt confirmed the administration is exploring the option, but it said it is not yet on the table. A tour by Fox News Digital found that many former hotspots for the homeless have been cleared, with only abandoned clothing and scattered food containers left behind as signs of recent life as of this week. In other parts of the city, including the heart of downtown, the homeless population continued to stake out places to sleep and gather in parks or on busy street corners. At one park, about a dozen people were clustered together with their belongings in a few tents, seemingly unaware of the new crackdown. Dried red substance was splattered across the sidewalk across their makeshift encampment. Are you implying blood, or is it like red paint? Trump has been repeatedly characterized Washington, D.C. as one of the most dangerous cities anywhere in the world. That is correct. Any of you people complaining? That is correct. You know, I can stop reading this article. You're starting to get it. That is correct. You know, it is an incredibly dangerous city. All right, and people who are saying that that's not true, you can't lie to me. I've been to D.C. I've been to Baltimore. I've been to Atlanta. I've been to Chicago. I've been to New York. I've been to these terrible cities, terrified for my life. And this was from like 95 to 2007 was when I was doing all this traveling. All right. When I got out of the Navy, I had a job lined up at the State Department in downtown D.C. I had to get up at butt crack early to get down on the VRE, ride all the way into D.C., the VRE to Lorton, and then Lorton onto the Metro. And when I got out of the Metro, near the State Department, the things I saw in the Metro, well, I'll take to my grave. They will haunt me for life. So I went and did that one day, and I said, I can't do this again. I do not want to go into the city because I feel like I might have to fight somebody every day. So don't pretend that this isn't a problem. Don't pretend that, the homeless encampments aren't a real problem. And for God's sakes, if you're sitting there saying, why don't leave these people alone? They're already in a bad situation. It's like, yes, don't you want to help them? As a Christian, I want to help them. I want to, if they need to dry out in jail, get some medical, since, jails have like all this health services free for criminals, let them dry out, get treated, and maybe have another shot at rehabilitating their life. After all, that's the point. Otherwise, if you say leave them alone, let them be there, you're basically saying let them just die there. And I'm okay with that. Just let them die. Instead, give them an option. And maybe they'll try to improve their life. All right? We can't undo the amount of fentanyl that has gotten into this country. We can't undo that. All we can do is deal with the living, breathing people who have to deal with these addictions and help them try to overcome them. Right? Anyway, let's go to the next story. All right. Obviously, the DC thing is a very big story. There's a lot of news stories that are written about it, but I found this article to be really good. Thank God. Peter Abroska, forgive me, sir. But it's a good article. I'm not going to read it all because it's basically just a list of 7 reasons that led to Trump taking over the law enforcement in D.C. So I'll just go through these incidents. 1, ex-Doge staffer beaten by teens in attempted carjacking. This is probably the most recent story. I think we did it last week, right? I think so. Yeah, it's early morning hours of August 3rd. Ex-Department of Government Efficiency staffer was beaten during an attempted carjacking in Logan Circle neighborhood. The guy known as Big Balls, Edward Corstein. He pushed his girl into the car and took the beating to save her. I could be your hero. Yeah, we did it last week. Enrique Iglesias popped in my head then too. All right, the second one is congressional intern shot dead. Eric Tarpinian, forgive me, Yakim, 21 years old, was shot on June 30th on the 1200 block of 7th Street Northwest and died a day later. He was a student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst and was interning for Representative Ron Estes from Kansas. All right. Third one, 2 Israeli embassy staffers shot and killed. May 21st, 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed while leaving an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. The victims were Yaron Lashinsky, forgive me, an Israeli, and Sarah Milgram, an American. Elias Rodriguez, 31 of Chicago, was captured immediately, has been charged not only with the murders, but with federal hate crimes because he allegedly shouted free Palestine while in custody. All right, number 4, roving team mob wreaks havoc in Navy Yard neighborhood. Yeah, I know the Navy Yard neighborhood. It's been shit for a while. Anyway, on the night of May 17th, a mob of about 100 teenagers terrorized the Navy Yard neighborhood a block from Nationals Park. It's the second such teen takeover in less than a month. About 8 p.m., police began receiving calls about disorderly conduct, but the situation quickly turned violent. One group of teens beat 2 bystanders, punching them, knocking them to the ground, and stomping on them, according to WUSA 9. All right. 5, senior congressional staffer carjacked, robbed in the Navy Yard. Same neighborhood. On May 9th, a staffer in California Democratic Representative Sarah Jacobs' office was a victim of an armed carjacking in the Navy Yard neighborhood. The staffer, who remained unnamed, was robbed of a government-issued iPhone, MacBook, ID, and Capitol parking pass. The next day, the car was recovered. A 15-year-old juvenile male of Washington was charged with the armed carjacking. A 14-year-old juvenile male of Maryland was charged with carrying a pistol without a license and unauthorized use of a vehicle. Not even old enough to drive. Number 6, House Democrat carjacked at gunpoint at the Navy Yard. Wonderful neighborhood there. In late 2023, Representative Henry Queller, Democrat from Texas, was carjacked by armed masked men outside his apartment building of a popular residence of a member of Congress, also in the Navy Yard neighborhood. At the time, he said he made the conscious decision not to fight back for his own safety. Imagine having to make that call. He condemns the crime, calling criminals punks with guns, touched on soft on crime policies, noting that if criminals are put in jail, you got to lock them up and keep them there. Number 7, House Democrat assaulted an apartment elevator. February 2023, Representative Angie Craig from Minnesota was attacked in an elevator of her apartment in the nation's capital. Police identified 26-year-old Kendrick Hamlin as the suspect. Craig said Hamlin punched her in the chin and grabbed her by the neck. She fended him off with a cup of hot coffee she was carrying. That's why they all drink coffee. We got to the bottom of that one. So these are just 7 incidents that happened in D.C., most of them in Washington Navy Yard, by the Washington Navy Yard, you know? And so, like I said, I've been to D.C. Crime is a real problem there, all right? And so I hope that the nation follows Trump's lead on terms of law enforcement. I know there's tons of people out there who are crying, oh, racism, racism, racism. Well, it's funny that you say that, because when you think it's a racist thing to want to stop crime, and you think that means black people are going to get arrested, that's because you probably know that they should be arrested because they're criminals. All right. The issue isn't the color of your skin. It's the content of your character. And criminals don't have much content of their character. You know what I mean? And I don't care what race the criminals are, because you start cracking down on crime, yeah, you're going to catch a few bad white guys too. I don't like them. I don't like criminal white guys either, dealing their meth and stuff like that. You know, don't pretend like anyone has any real monopoly on crime. All right, people. I mean, some people may have been trying to take over for a while. The Italians really wanted it, but I don't know. There's some other groups that are coming up these days that are really taking the cake in terms of that. But what I mean is that, if you're scared of these people being arrested, maybe, I don't know, you quit committing crime. You know, if you think that you're instead of saying looking at yourself and say your ethnic group, it's why do people think that we're all criminals? Well, because per capita, if you understand what that means, per capita, the odds of you being a criminal are pretty high. You know, so But the good news is you can always choose today, every moment of your life, you can always choose to not break the law. You can turn everything around today. Say, you could say, I may have this tattoo on my neck, but I'm going to turn around and be a law-abiding citizen today. And even though I got this tattoo on my neck, cops may stop me. They may ask questions, but I'm never riding dirty anymore. So I have nothing to worry about. Anyway, crying about racism. You know, I have a Batman in me. I have a Boondock Saints in me. I have a bit of a Punisher in me. When it comes to criminals, I kind of want you to be beaten senseless. I kind of want you to be hurt. I kind of want Batman to break your arm or give you a scar or a little reminder of what happened. It's like, where'd you get that scar? It's like, Batman kicked the crap out of me while I was trying to rob this jewelry store. So it was on that day I said, Gotham's a crazy town. I'm moving to Bloodhaven. So that's how the criminals ended up in Bloodhaven. Anyway. All right, let's go to this next story. So ChatGPT dietary advice sends man to a hospital with dangerous chemical poisoning. AI doesn't eat. They know we do. AI knows we do. And man, because AI is sitting there like, I don't need food. Never brought it up. And then the humans come up and talk to the AI and they're like, hey, tell me about food. And they're like, oh, let me look at, okay, a food. What the hell is that? You put it in your mouth, you masticate it, and then you swallow it? Okay. Huh. AI can't wrap its head around it because it doesn't really have a head. It's just AI. It's like a fast internet reader. Anyway, a man who used ChatGPT for dietary advice ended up poisoning himself and wound up in the hospital. The 60-year-old man, you're old enough to know better, man, who was looking to eliminate table salt from his diet for health reasons, used a large language model to get suggestions on what to replace it with, according to the case study published this week in the Annals of Internal Medicine. And ChatGPT suggested swapping sodium chloride, table salt, with sodium bromide. The man made a replacement for a 3-month period. Although the journal article noted the recommendation was likely referring it to other purposes, such as cleaning, which is what sodium bromide is, chemical compounds that resemble salts but is toxic for human consumption. You'd think ChatGPT would have caught that. It was once used as an anticonvulsant and a sedative, but today is primarily used as cleaning, manufacturing, and agricultural purposes, according to the National Institutes of Health. When the man arrived at the hospital, he was experiencing fatigue, insomnia, poor coordination, facial acne, cherry angiomas, red bumps on the skin, excessive thirst, all symptoms of bromism, a condition caused by long-term exposure to sodium bromide. He also showed signs of paranoia. Oh my, it must affect the central nervous system too. Claimed the neighbor was trying to poison him. Well, you're kind of onto it. You're kind of onto it. The neighbor must be poisoning me. Maybe it's myself. It couldn't be me. I wouldn't poison me. The computer told me to do it. You also found to have auditory and visual hallucinations, ultimately placed on psychiatric hold after attempting to escape. Oh my God. He was treated with intravenous fluids and electrolytes, also put on antipsychotic medication, and he was released from the hospital after 3 weeks of monitoring. Oh my goodness. Quote, this case highlights how the use of artificial intelligence can potentially contribute to development of preventable adverse health outcomes, the researchers wrote in the case study. Unfortunately, we do not have access to GPT conversation log, and we'll never be able to know with certainty what exactly the output he received was, since individual responses are unique and built from previous inputs. It's highly unlikely that a human doctor would have mentioned sodium bromide when speaking with a patient seeking to substitute sodium chloride, they noted. That's a big mistake. That's a big, big mistake. Because it's kind of a flaw in the large language model. You know what I mean? Because it didn't consider the fact, it didn't look at sodium bromide as like any effects for long-term use on humans, on living creatures, because AI doesn't live. AI doesn't eat. It's just either on or off. Okay. go to the next story. So, O'Rourke and source-linked groups face call for DOJ probe over alleged funding of Texas Democrat walkout. I don't know if you've been following what's been going on in Texas. We talked about it last week with the district redrawing, and they left the state, so they couldn't have a quorum. I don't know if you know how stuff like this works, but anyway. First on Fox, props to Fox, Senate Republican wants the Justice Department to investigate groups tied to Beto O'Rourke and George Soros for allegedly funding Texas Democrats' exodus from the state. Senator John Corwin of Texas called on Attorney General Pam Bondi to open an investigation into whether O'Rourke's Powered by People Political Action Committee, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, PAC, and the Soros-linked Texas Majority PAC have acted in violation of federal public corruption and election laws for raising funds to help Texas state Democrats leave the state during a redistricting special session. Quote, I write today to encourage an investigation of the entities funding this charade, Corwin wrote in the letter first obtained by Fox News Digital. News reports make clear that PACs tied to Beto O'Rourke and megadonors such as George Soros are supporting the legislators along with other campaign entities, probably like their staff and so forth. Texas Democrats fled the state in an effort to kill a special session called by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to read maps in the Lone Star State. The lawmakers fled in a bid to prevent a quorum to prevent legislation from moving forward. Corwin previously called on FBI Director Kash Patel to help find the legislators. His latest letter came on the heels of the report of a Texas Tribune that O'Rourke's PAC had played a major role in supporting the roughly 50 Democrats who departed from New York and Illinois, paying for airfare, lodging, and helping with the $500 per day fines the lawmakers faced for skipping a legislative session. There's a scene in Watchmen where Rorschach says, follow the money. Follow the money. And that's like detective work 101. Follow the money. You know, like I said, there's a little Batman in me, little Rorschach in me. And so I really hope in all, I can insult Pam Bondi all day long because I think she's kind of been screwing up lately. But there's certainly a lot of legal challenges, like in front, like it's a rich targeted environment, you know, for a conservative, you know, district attorney. Anyway, yeah, follow the money. You know, doing what they did, like financing them to get out of there to prevent the quorum. That's corruption. You know? All right, let's do two lighter, happier stories, then we're out of here for the week, okay? So, I saw this story, and I was like, this is just like fishing in EverQuest or in World of Warcraft. You're like, rusty longsword. So, angler expecting a fish pulls up a 700-year-old sword. Real treasures. So, a 7-year-old sword was recently reeled in by a fisherman in Poland, offering a rare glimpse into warfare in the Middle Ages. The discovery was announced by the Capitol Conservator of Monuments in Warsaw last month. In a Facebook post, the department said a lucky angler found the sword in the Vistula River. It was supposed to be this big a fish. It turned out to be this big a sword, the post read. As you can see, the Vistula hides some real treasures. Fishermen surrendered the sword to local authorities who transferred it to local experts. A team is now working to preserve the artifact for future study. That'd be cool. Facebook's page post noted that the sword is preserved almost in its full length and features both a spherical pommel and cross mark at on its grip. Very cool. Anna Magdalena Lahn, a chief specialist in the city of Warsaw, told Fox News Digital the experts are still studying the sword. The sword is dated to the 13th or 14th century, at a time when Warsaw was founded. She noted in an email remark to the Fox News Digital. A more precise date could be determined thanks to the cross mark, which is a signature of the blacksmiths who made it. Research is ongoing. Yeah, maker's marks. Like the cotton candy flavored whiskey. She said the length of the sword, including the hilt, is over 31 inches. I don't know the weight, but the sword is quite light because of the large extent of corrosion. Obviously, the sword is old, founded in what is now Warsaw. It is unique. Circumstances why the sword was dropped in the river and now lost to time. You don't say. Do you really need to write that sentence? Lon noted, like, yeah, we asked around and there's nobody heard. Do you remember anybody who dropped a sword in here? Not in a few hundred years. You know. She noted the swords were not deposited ritually in the 13th century Poland, and they were more of a pagan tradition than a Christian one. Like, I guess, throwing the sword in the river. She concluded the sword was found in the river, meaning it was discovered without context. That is, without other artifacts to tell us more about it. The weapon is one of many fascinating agricultural discoveries made in Poland this year. In Gdansk, Poland, forgive me, I hope I got that name, that city right, archaeologists recently found a medieval knight's tomb beneath a former ice cream parlor. Months earlier, pedestrians found a 2,500-year-old dagger on a Polish beach. Oh my God. On the coast of the Baltic Sea. Wow. Just walking along the beach. Look, daggers over 2,500 years old. Excuse me. I'm all excited. I don't know. Do you nerd out for stuff like this? I love this kind of stuff. So, could you imagine? And I would be like so proud. I would go to the museum and say, I found that sword. Even if they said something like, I wouldn't even be like, could you say found by the madman from Shock Monkey Radio? I wouldn't even say that. I would just say, it would be my private story that what I found can like educate future generations about the history of things. Oh, stretches through time. It makes your life matter. All right, let's go to this last goofy story. I'll explain something here about rabbits here in a second. Wild rabbits spotted with strange horn-like growths sprouting from their heads. Uh-oh. Jackalopes are about. I hear it's like every 1,000 years. The jackalopes will return, and they're like crazy rabbits with antlers, and they run real quick, and they'll attack people, gore you, and stuff like that. Dangerous things. Dangerous. Every 1,000 years. So it's beginning. So recently, some wild rabbits have been seen in the U.S. with horn-like growths spurting from their heads, which are caused by a viral infection, according to experts. Aw, I like my story better. Rabbit papillomas are growths on the skin caused by the cottontail rabbit papillomavirus. Colorado Parks and Wildlife said on its website, and some people in the state have reported the strange sightings. It looks like black quills or black toothpicks sticking out all around his or her mouth. Fort Collins, Colorado resident Susan Mansfield, who saw one of the rabbits, told 9 News. Fort Collins, Colorado, resident Susan Mansfield, who saw one of the rabbits, told 9 News. Bree Stimson. I thought he would die off during the winter, but he didn't. He came back a second year and it grew. Ooh. And you know the rabbits have no idea what that is. What's growing on your head? I don't know what that is. Does it happen to everybody? I guess. I'm a rabbit. I don't know. We don't have language. CPW says the infection is typified by black nodules on the skin, usually the head, adding growths, or it can sometimes be elongated, taking on a horn-like appearance. Department says the growths don't harm the rabbits unless they interfere with the animal's ability to eat and drink. Most infected cottontails can survive the viral infection, after which the growths will go away. For this reason, CPW does not recommend euthanizing rabbits with this virus. I'm not going to say it again. Unless they're interfering with the rabbit's ability to eat or drink. That makes sense. Ew, these pictures are gross. I don't want to show them. Don't show them. Anyway, I feel sorry for rabbits. I like rabbits, and I feel sorry for them. They're so passive, and they're cute. I'm sorry. I'm trying to man up here, but they're rabbits. They're cute. All right, and they're so cute that they're not really a predator to anybody except maybe vegetables, or plants, But they are prey for most everything else. You know what I mean? Every carnivorous creature in this world would love to get a hold of a rabbit. You know what I mean? And so it's just the fact that rabbits can breed their way into remaining a viable species in the world just by banging them out, just by popping out litters of little tiny rabbits. Oh, well, snake got that one. Oh, well, a hawk got that one. Still got 8 more. So I kind of feel sorry for rabbits. I don't know. Is that weird? I don't know. I got to start, instead of like just laughing, I got to start practicing going, ho, 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 ho. I got to start practicing. Yeah, send me some money through Cash App or go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Help me finance my Santa Claus suit for Halloween. And I'll start working on the beard maybe. Or maybe if I just get one of the fake beard, I'll wear the fake beard. I might hide my face, hide my ugliness, and more single moms would hit on me. You can follow me on social media over here at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards. Or you can follow me on Instagram at SLRobbins13 on the Instagrams. Or you can find my Facebook page, I guess, Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. I don't post there very often. Facebook pissed me off. Yeah, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you. Ho, 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 ho.